Now, if you're considering an electric car in the world of Mercedes, you will probably have come across the models EQA and EQB. But what are the differences in 2024? Well, let's get straight on to pricing. So the EQA in Mercedes starts from 49,750, of course all correct at the time of recording. But for just a few £1,000s more, about 3,000 to be precise, you can actually get an EQB. Now these are both called an EQA 250 Plus and an EQB 250 Plus. Yes, that's a new one as far as I've seen. So a quick word on the names while we're on that topic. So yes, a quick thing on the names of the cars. So you'll notice they're called EQ. Now, I'm not actually sure what the exact words translated to, but Mercedes refer to it as electric intelligence, because there's a lot of things that go on in that multimedia system that basically help enhance your kind of electric overall experience in the car. More, I'm going to touch on that a bit later. But yeah, EQ, electric intelligence, then the last letter is like EQA, for example. So that's basically an A class, but raised. But EQB, that's based on the B class. So they're basically just larger versions of the kind of original letter from the original name of the car. So EQA A class, EQA B class. So let's have a look at range. Now, range on any electric car out there is probably the most important question that people ask, and certainly for EQA it's had a huge improvement. I remember when it first came out, it had around 260 miles range or around that sort of area, but now this one goes up to almost 350. It's about 346 this one as it stands here. Obviously it depends on kind of equipment and wheel sizes and that sort of thing. Those can have an impact on the range. Even EQB as well, the range of that one's been greatly improved. Those only had about 260 miles range as well. Those were for the 4MATIC four-wheel drive versions, but there's a new version I've spotted now, which from the looks of it is, I'm guessing, front-wheel drive. This actually has more range than the others as well. Again, pushing that 300 barrier, which is really good to see. This one right here actually touching on 321 miles, which again is amazing to see. Just remember, this is kind of what petrol engines are doing now. So if you do lots of city driving, it's probably the range of your petrol car that you currently already own. So really good to see that they're pushing that kind of barrier. Now, when it comes to the dimensions, the EQA length is 4,465 millimeters, width 2,020 millimeters, and height 1,624. Now, if you compare that with the EQB, for example, then the length of this one is 4,684, width 2,022, and height 1,701. So slightly bigger on that front. So guys, comparing the boots of the two cars, of course the EQA is going to have this slightly smaller boot. This one's 340 litres as it is here, minus the cable. But if you do fold the seats down, it'll go up to just over 1,300. So that's pretty good. You can do that by the 40-20-40 split. Sadly, as it's an EV, there isn't really any underfloor storage space. Yes, you can lift this up here, but it's literally just that. It's really, really small, mainly because the batteries are like underneath here. So that's quite common in electric cars anyway. But yeah, if you are wanting a larger boot, this is where the EQB comes in. So guys, when it comes to the rear seats of the EQA, that's what I'm sat in right now, not much has changed, of course, from the previous model, because don't forget this is a facelift. So in fact, I think it is exactly the same. I can't remember if there were two USB-C ports, but there are two in this one now. So if you're watching this video for the first time, I should add this is set up for my driving position. I'm 6'2", and then I'm sat behind myself. Now, because the batteries are located under the floor itself is actually raised off the ground, which is why my legs kind of have this incline going on here like this. Now, I should add, I'm a little bit special, but I have long legs anyway, so naturally this happens a lot in my cars, and it's probably quite exaggerated on camera. But yes, obviously just factor in. The best thing I can say is just try it out for yourself, take one for a test drive, make sure you sit in the back and obviously set up all the seats the way you want them. But yeah, that's what it's like for me if I sit properly back in the seat. And yeah, that's kind of what my legs are, but I do have naturally long legs anyway, so it is probably exaggerated a little bit on camera. I'm just special like that, sorry. But in terms of other things in the back, yes, door pockets have nice storage there. Got cup holders in here as normal, so yeah, pretty much standard sort of stuff in the back. And of course there's little cargo nets there as well, so pretty good. The EQB though is a little bit different. It has way more space and also has a third seat row. Now for the EQB, this is where the EQB shines because it has a kind of like squared off design. You actually find there's more space in here. So there's 495 litres right here as you see, but you can also do quite some clever things with the rear seats on the second row. So let me show you how to do the seats. So first things first, when you want to fold the third row seats down, you basically move these seats forward to basically give these guys leg room. So there's actually levers underneath the seat here. So if you grab hold of that, then you can move the seat forwards and backwards like this. Now, yes, you could move it all the way like that, but obviously that's not going to leave any leg room for these guys. So let's put it about halfway, I think. Yeah, that'll do. And then same for this side. And then what you want to do is then adjust the angle of the seat. So using these ropes, we'll do that maybe about there, I think. And then that one there, and then that one there. Now we can look at the back. Okay, so once you've done that, then what you need to do is get rid of this reversible mat. And then using these, if you pull the red lever, or the rope should I say, then you can bring this up just like that and turn it into a 7-seater. So super easy to do, just like that. And they've even got their own headrests as well. If I remember, yeah, there's 2 USB-C ports either side for the third row, and cup holders for them as well, if you have the no eating or drinking rule in your car. I'm not sure, but yeah. So super practical. That is one thing you can't do on the EQA. So yeah, 7-seater of the EQB. And don't worry if you don't use it as a 7-seater, just keep it down completely flat. Pretty cool. Now the only negative thing that I can think about this is that, well, the charge cable, an essential part of having an electric car, there isn't actually anywhere to put the cable. Now, I think it would be rare that most people will probably be using this as a dedicated full-time kind of 7-seater. So it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I just thought I'd mention it because there is no like selected kind of place to keep the cable. There's no frunk or anything like that. So this is quite a big bag. So I'd actually probably take that out and just kind of, you know, kind of fold it in over there or something. But yeah, just thought I'd mention it. There's no specific place for it. I mean, if you're not going to use it as a 7-seater, you could use it as a 6-seater, then you've got a bit of space there, but just thought I'd mention it anyway. There's no specific place for the cable. Okay, so EQB rear seats. Well, instantly you can tell there's loads more space in here in terms of headroom and just kind of overall kind of spacious feel. Now, I should add that the floor is still raised. It does look like it is raised, but you can tell by my leg it's not as much. There again, as I mentioned in EQA, I've got long legs anyway, so that's always going to look a bit like that anyway. Again, sorry, it's just my legs. But yeah, there's definitely more space in here because of the squared off design from the EQB at the back, but everything else should be the same. Yeah, you've got storage there, USB-C ports there, and yeah, normal cup holders there. So yeah, pretty good. Now obviously if you had the seats, you know, far forward, so let's move this bench forward. Yeah, so obviously the legroom is going to be a lot less, but there again, this is the cool thing. You can choose who's going to sit where. I'm sure the kids will probably always want to sit in the back, but you know, it's obviously only designed for a certain height for someone sitting in the back. Cool. Well, let's check out the front then. So I thought I'd record this next section in the EQA, just because this is one I have here right this second. But you'll find actually the design of the interior and everything is exactly the same in the EQB. The only difference really in terms of the inside is it's just a bit taller and there's a bit more space. But in terms of the screens and the steering wheel and overall feel and placement of all the buttons, everything will be virtually the same. So don't worry, you're not missing out on the EQB, but I'm going to focus on this bit in this car here. So to start, you've got these lovely dual screen displays here, which of course have your multimedia system and instrument cluster in here, which is really nice to see. Steering wheel, of course, in both cars is a manual adjustment up and down, and then of course there are different packages and things in terms of gadgets, certainly in the UK. So you have things like memory seats on certain cars. You'll find these on like premium plus packages. Now I don't tend to go through them too much on my channel just because it varies, especially around the world for one, and of course could vary over time. So let's turn our attention to this screen. Now this right here is MBUX. Now this is one of the latest generations of the Mercedes multimedia system found in pretty much all of their cars now. Officially known as MBUX NTG7, this features new things like wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, to name a few, but it's controlled via touchscreen, just like this. You can also use it on the steering wheel and of course your voice as well. Now if you've had a Mercedes EQA or EQB previously, so the previous versions, you'll notice the touchpad has now been removed. So Mercedes actually did this some time ago in, I think it was the A-Class when it first had its facelift, that they removed the touchpad. I'm not sure why, but there's a storage area now. It's the same as my car. If you were a lover of the touchpad, because I'm sure loads of people have mentioned, I use the touchpad all the time. Don't worry, you do get used to using the screen. It literally takes like a week or so and then you're just using that. Most cars pretty much out there anyway only have one form of touch interface. So I think Mercedes having 3 or 4, but just taking one away isn't that much of a bad deal. I mean, I bought my car which doesn't have the touchpad, sadly not an electric one though, even though I wish it was. But yeah, it's not a deal breaker, I don't think, at the end of the day. Now in terms of climate control, it's all buttons literally just down here, and yes, they are buttons. I know that quite a few manufacturers at the moment have gone touch everything, which does get quite a bit of pushback in the comments, but no, these are buttons. You can literally press these and toggle these up and down like this. Apologies, I think there's a plane flying directly over our heads right now. I'm sure we'll go in a second. But yes, buttons for the climate control is very good. Of course, you can do it via voice as well. And if you wanted to do it via touch, when it's on, if you tap on the climate control, you can actually then do it all on touch on there. So Mercedes allow you to do both, but it does have the buttons, which is good to see. So yeah, loads of improvements on that front. I think now is a good time to take the EQA out for a drive, and then we'll take the EQB out for a drive. But remember, I said the multimedia systems and the design up the front is exactly the same. Driving will be a little bit different just because the EQB is a bit bigger. Right, EQA Drive. Okay guys, so let's check out the EQA. Now, I don't expect it to have changed that much because don't forget, again, this is just a facelift. But it should be as smooth as ever because electric cars, if you've never driven one before, you've got to try it out because they're so smooth on the road. And apart from the doors just locking because I went above 10 miles an hour, it's so smooth. You can whisper in it. In fact, this actually feels quieter than the previous one. I mean, it is only a facelift, but it's really quiet. Cool. So yes, what's the EQA like to drive? Well, apart from obviously being very, very quiet and silent on the road, yeah, very, very smooth. In fact, I can actually compare this to my own car because I drive an A-Class as a daily, and basically, as this is a very similar shape to the GLA, it's a lot kind of smoother and softer on the road, which I do quite like actually. And considering I've literally just bought a dog as well, could do with the extra space in the back. Maybe not EQB space for me personally, but if you have growing families, then I can certainly see why. A little bit of extra space is always good. So yeah, super smooth. I would definitely say it does iron out the bumps more than my A-Class just because it's higher off the ground. But yeah, we'll compare it to the EQB in a minute. Just gonna drop this one back and get the EQB. Hopefully Mercedes aren't too angry at me for making the carpets muddy. I'm really sorry, it's just so muddy everywhere. I might have to hoover this one out. Okay guys, so EQB test drive. Now, this one surprised me. There's this new electric motor, the EQB 250 Plus with the extended range. This is what I'm driving now, and I didn't realise, because I just drove it to the place where I was just filming a second ago, and I was like, yeah, what is this kind of engine or electric motor, should I say? And I had a look and it was the 250. I was like, oh my goodness. So for those of you wondering, is the 250 fast enough? Is it adequate with such a big car? It's not that big, don't worry. It's just a little bit taller, and I think the curb weights are very similar as well. So yeah, don't worry. It's powerful enough, because I actually thought it was a 300 or 350. So, what's it like to drive? So of course it kind of depends what electric motor or variant would be right for you. Now for me, I mean, the 250 would be perfect. It's almost like a long range version, so to speak, on the EQA 250 Plus and the EQB 250 Plus. So yeah, really, really welcome to see that this new introduction, and I think Mercedes will actually sell quite a lot of these EQB 250 pluses just because of that kind of extended range. So do I notice the larger kind of chassis, so to speak, with going around corners? Honestly, no. I mean, if a race driver was going to be hurdling this car around bends and corners and things like that, yeah, they're probably going to notice a bit more body lean, so to speak, but I don't do that, and that's not what I review on YouTube, because that's not what I do in real life. I'm sure a lot of people don't do in real life either. But if you are that concerned, just test drive them both. I would say it's absolutely fine. In terms of the interior, I would actually struggle to tell the difference between the two. In fact, there is one thing that is slightly different just over here on the left hand side. There is a kind of star design on the dashboard there, which I didn't see in the EQA, so there's another thing that's slightly different. Well, I think that concludes this week's video, guys. Well, thank you very much for watching. Huge shout out, of course, to Mercedes-Benz UK for organising this test drive event for the EQA and EQB, so we can test drive them literally back to back and make this video for you guys. But yeah, if you liked what you saw, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. See you soon.